Hey guys, this is MichaelBtheGameGenie, and welcome to another episode of my game pickups from the new Adventure Island.
Michael, did you spend all our money on video games again?
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O!
Nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in my way. This flame in my heart, like a long lost friend, gives every dark street a light at the end. Standing tall on the wings of my dreams.
So guys, basically this is going to be one of the last episodes of game pickups from the new Adventure Island, at least for a little while anyways. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is the fact that I'm happily married, and I'd like to stay that way. Number two is that when I started collecting, I had a goal in mind that I wanted to get Shining Force 3 for the Sega Saturn, I wanted to get Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, and I wanted to get a NES top loader. And I've done all those. In fact, that was 6 months ago. And I still end up picking up every single game I see. That's because I'm an OCD collector. But the thing is, I picked up so many games in a short amount of time that I really haven't had a chance to actually sit down and enjoy them the way I should. Now that doesn't mean I haven't been playing my games. It just means I haven't had a chance to play all the games that I've got. And I've got some really good games that I really want to take the time and explore. And I can't do that if I spend most of my time out looking to pick up more games. So I want to take a break to actually enjoy some of the titles I have picked up over the course of the last 2 years. So guys, I know this might not be a big deal for some, but for those of you that actually look forward to my pickup videos and want to see more, I'm really sorry. I will explain that this doesn't mean I won't be doing my NES Complete Collection Chronicles anymore. That's kind of what I'm going to do right now. We did a podcast the other night with the Newfoundland Gamer podcast, which is myself, Keep the Joking Gamer, Weekend Game Guy, the Completionist, Derek, when he's available. And we actually had Grubgun on, and we talked about collecting and what we wanted to collect for. And Grubgun's doing this whole thing called the Year of Grubgun, where he's just solely focused on the Nintendo GameCube, and that's cool. But what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to take a time out, and I'm going to focus on my favorite system to collect for, which is the NES. So basically, I'm going to spend my time collecting for the NES for the time being, and that's where my weekly budget's going to go. I said budget, that's because my wife actually gave me one. But thankfully, for my farewell for now, I didn't just pick up a couple sports titles. I actually picked up some amazing games that I'm very excited to play, and I'm very excited to share them with you today. First up is a game for the Sega Genesis, and it's only one game this time. Sega Genesis has been pretty dry around here, but I was actually really excited to find this game, and that is Last Battle on the Sega Genesis. When I picked it up, I saw one of my friends that's actually from wrestling, this guy Mike, and he has got a summer job working at the place where a flea market's held. So I went up to him and I said, hey, I picked up Last Battle. And he said, oh yeah, Fist of the North Star. And I had no idea what he was talking about, so I said, no, I don't have Fist of the North Star on the NES. But actually what he was talking about is Last Battle apparently is a version of Fist of the North Star. And now, I didn't know that ahead of time. Actually, a couple people on my Facebook said the same thing. Actually, a girl by the name of Sabrina Sugar Baby Breezy, she mentioned it as well. But anyways, Last Battle looks like a fun game. If I'm not mistaken, I actually saw Retro Liberty mention it a couple times, where this is the game where the guy rips his shirt off. I'm not 100% sure about that. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but anyways, I've always been fascinated with Fist of the North Star. The guys from Retro Liberty have good opinions, so I'm excited to play it. A little while later, I was extremely fortunate that one of the places that I buy all my games from is called Netherworld Collectibles. It's a little collectible store, And just recently they told me you should really check out our Facebook page because that's where we post the games that we're selling or available first. So I was like, cool, man. I checked out Netherworld Collectibles page, I like them, and I go there daily. Then all of a sudden, I see a post there one day where they mentioned, now in stock, a list of amazing Sega Saturn games. And let me tell you guys, they never sell Sega Saturn games here in Newfoundland. I don't know what happened. I remember when the Saturn came out, it was like $600. No one had them except the richest of kids, and I guess they didn't need to get rid of the games afterwards. So you never see Saturn stuff here for sale. So anyways, I went down, they were a little late, I missed out on some great games. The Sonic 3D Blast, I think, was one of them, and I missed out on Panzer Dragoon 2. But of the games remaining, I think I got some great deals. And these actually came from the owner's personal stock, so they're in fantastic condition. Let me show you what I got. I know the guys from Thrift Dwellers, especially Nate, will love these two games. I got Street Fighter Alpha, which is an amazing game. I love the Street Fighter series. I wasn't big on the Alpha series, just I haven't really played them, so I'm excited to finally, I've got my Saturn plugged in, I'm going to give these basically a chance. Of course, I had to pick up Street Fighter Alpha 2 as well, and these were really fairly priced, so I'm excited to have them. They look great, and let's see if I can enjoy the Street Fighter Alpha series. Also picked up a copy of Night Warriors. A lot of people won't be familiar with the name, but it's actually a Darkstalkers game. It's Darkstalkers Revenge. This really isn't a super common game. I'm not a huge Saturn person, so I don't know for sure, but anyways, I'm excited to try this out, and I'm excited to bulk up my Saturn collection with great fighters. Hey, what a night it's gonna be! Daytona, USA. This is the Championship Circuit Edition, which, from what I'm told, is a more complete version of Daytona USA that fixed some of the problems with the original release, so I'm excited. I love Daytona USA, and especially that song. That is, going back to a Stu Fish video I did a response to a little while ago. If I didn't pick Chrono Cross, surprisingly, my second favorite intro would be the intro to Daytona USA. I'll never forget walking into the arcades and hearing that song blaring out of the Daytona USA machine. So, anyways, I love the arcade version. I love the version I already have for my Saturn. I'm excited to play a better version of it. Last but not least for the Sega Saturn is Panzer Dragoon. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw this, I knew I had to pick it up. Everybody told me, you've got to play Panzer Dragoon, but I had no idea what I was in store for, and I was really surprised at how good this game was. It's basically this on-rails type shooter where you roll around the screen. It's kind of like a Star Fox 64 type game, except you're on this dragon. It's got some really strange intro CGI stuff, but man, what a fun game. Is it perfect? No, by no means, but I really enjoyed it so far, so I'm excited that I have Panzer Dragoon in my collection. I know it's not Panzer Dragoon Saga, but I don't know anything about Panzer Dragoon Saga. If I picked it up at a low price, absolutely I'd grab it, but Panzer Dragoon, very happy with. Moving on to a system I really don't collect for that much, but I wish I did, and you just don't see games for it around anymore, which is a real shame because I absolutely love the system. That's the PlayStation. So again, this was another Netherworld Collectibles type situation where I saw the ad on Facebook, and of course I immediately called and said, will you hold on to the games for me? I rushed over and picked them up. And these are two survival horror games that, for some reason, I passed over originally. I was a big Resident Evil fan, and these were kind of sold as a semi, I don't know, like spin-off, I guess, of Resident Evil. But I never picked them up. I finally got copies of the original, and I'm excited to give them a try. Dino Crisis 1. Which looks like a really cool game. Actually, I just watched Jurassic Park Trilogy with my wife recently, so I'm kind of psyched up to see this. And of course, Dino Crisis 2. If I remember correctly, I think there's also a Dino Crisis 3, but I don't know if it came out on the PS1 or if it was on the PS2. If anybody knows, feel free to leave a comment down below. So it's easy to tell I'm on a big survival horror kick. Anybody who follows me on Facebook would have saw a couple months ago, I finally finished Silent Hill 2 on I actually finished the Xbox 360 Remastered HD collection. So I've been on a huge Silent Hill kick. I picked up a load of the new games for Christmas on the newer systems, but I've had a hard time finding the older ones at reasonable prices. But recently I've come across a couple. And of course, if you're going to get Silent Hill, you've got to get the original. Silent Hill 1 on the PSX. I always get confused by that, PS1 or PSX. I usually just call it the PSX to be safe. Anyways, Silent Hill 1. Hopefully, it's as good as Silent Hill 2. Speaking of Silent Hill 2, I was very excited to find a copy of this. Again, Netherworld Collectibles. And That was the first time in a long time I've seen it at a really reasonable price. It was only $15 tax in. Well worth it. Silent Hill 2 for the PlayStation 2. I only finished it a couple of weeks ago, so I don't think I'll be playing the PlayStation 2 version anytime soon, but I'll get back to it. And lastly, for the PlayStation 2, this is a game I picked up while I was out game hunting with my good friend, Keep the Joking Gamer. We were into EB games, and usually I don't buy a whole lot in there. Even newer games, I don't buy them because I hate how you'll go up and you buy a game, and they're like, yeah, we got a brand new copy. And all of a sudden they pull the game out in a little sleeve and put it back in its case, and then put all the stickers around it. It's not a new game. Sorry, EB Games. It's not a new game. And I'm really bad. Like, if I go to EB Games, I refuse to buy one of their used games, because all it is it's a used game with $5 off the new purchase price, and that's it. That's what they sell it for. It's like the most ridiculous markup. I've always been of the opinion that once a game is used, it's the same as a car. You drive it off the lot, it goes down half price. But EB Games doesn't go with that philosophy, so I don't usually shop there. But anyways, Keeb was looking around. He picked up some great deals on some Game Boy Advance, no, DS titles. And I just was flipping through the dollar bin, and I found Enter the Matrix for the PlayStation 2 for $2. It's complete. It's in pretty good shape. I think this is kind of like a game like Max Payne. I remember when this first came out, all my friends went nuts for it, and they had to pick it up because the Matrix was so big. But I kind of stayed away from it. But anyways, I'm excited to try it out. It's a Atari game. I really like some of the stuff Atari did, especially with the Transformers franchise. So, hey, I'll try it out, and we'll see where it goes. And now it's time to move to my pickups for the big game. Every Nintendo system outside of the original NES. First off, I was very fortunate. My wife picked me up a game for the Game Boy I've been looking for an extremely long time. I don't really collect for the Game Boy, but there's certain games I want, and this is definitely one I had to have. One of my favorite games of all time, as you know, is DuckTales on the NES, but most of my childhood memories of playing DuckTales weren't actually on the NES, they were actually on the Game Boy, but it was never a game I owned. I actually played it on a friend's Game Boy while we were at day camp, and I've never owned a copy until just recently when my wife picked this up for me. DuckTales on the Game Boy. I find it a lot harder than the Nintendo version, surprisingly, but anyways, I'm excited to have it. I'm going to plug it into my Super Game Boy. I've been playing it on a Game Boy Pocket, which I don't really like for some reason, but I'm sure I'll enjoy it more on the Super Game Boy. But DuckTales. Woohoo! So while my wife was at the pawn shop where she picked up DuckTales for me, she went to their 4 for $10 bin where they'll usually throw in Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and N64. She came across a game that I didn't have for the N64, and I told her to pick it up. Shadow Man. I know absolutely nothing about this game, so if anybody wants to tell me if this is a good game, bad game, let me know. And now an N64 game that I am extremely excited to finally add to my collection, and that is Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. I wasn't always a huge Kirby fan, and in fact, outside of Kirby's Dream Land, I never played another Kirby game until I picked up Kirby's Epic Yarn. And through Epic Yarn, I just absolutely fell in love with Kirby again, and I've been picking up all his games. And Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, looks like a really, really fun game, and one I'm excited to have in my collection. And I picked it up at a flea market, which means I got it for a very good price, which is always a bonus. Surprise, surprise, I've saved the absolute best for last. I've picked up some amazing Super Nintendo games, including officially finishing, my SNES RPG collection this time around. Let me show you what I got. First up is a game that was recommended to me by my good friend Mr. Dude206, or Stu Fish, which is Stunt Race FX. Ever since I watched his video where he talked about this game, I've been looking for it for a little while, never really found it, until the other day I responded to a Kijiji ad to pick up a couple NES games, and actually they had this there as well, really good price, so I decided to pick it up, Stunt Race FX. So I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm excited to give it a try. As most people know, I'm a sucker for a good 16-bit gem. And what I mean by that especially, I'm basically mentioning Rue from 16-bit Gems and some of the amazing games that he's displayed through his series. One of which is a game that I didn't even know existed until I watched his episode, and that is Super Adventure Island 2. And as most people know, this moves away from the whole Adventure Island series. It goes more into Wonder Boy territory, but it turns out to be a really fantastic game. I've never even seen this game, ever, until one day I'm driving through Grand Falls and I go to a collectible store there called Buzz on John's. This is one of the games they had on the shelf, so because of the 16-bit Gems episode, I picked it up, and let me tell you, I'm glad I did. Another 16-bit gem, and a game Rue picked up a little while ago, which hoping to see in an episode soon is another SNES RPG that I knew nothing about, and that is Tecmo Secret of the Stars. I've never even seen this game, but I came across it in Games Exchange. They had it in the counter listed for $24.99, which most people are probably going to say is too much, but I looked it up on eBay.ca. It usually goes for over $30, so I consider that to be a pretty fair deal, and it's a great SNES RPG. I've played a little bit of it. Like I've mentioned at the beginning of this video, I just haven't had time to really explore a lot of the great games I've got, so this is one I'm definitely going to put some time into, as I'm a huge role-playing game fan. Speaking of expensive and hard to find role-playing games, I also came across a copy of Ogre Battle, The March of the Black Queen. I'm not a huge Ogre Battle fan. I've never played a single Ogre Battle game. But I've heard so many good things about this, and from a collecting standpoint, I just couldn't turn this game down when I saw it. I went to the flea market, and the usual seller there, really nice guy, just had it in the case, and he showed it to me, he offered me a certain price, looked it up, more than fair value, so I decided I had to add this to my collection. Did a game pickups from the New Adventure Island episode entitled Some 16-Bit Gems, and I talked about how I was getting close to finishing my SNES RPG collection. And a lot of people mentioned, well, you don't have Ogre Battle, you'll never have Ogre Battle, it's too hard to find, it's too expensive. Yeah, I got it now. So that means I'm just about done. Or is there one game I'm forgetting? Oh yeah. And last but not least, I picked this one up. I paid for it, but I paid loose cart price according to eBay. And that is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo, complete in box. I've been putting this one off for a long time. I love Chrono Trigger. I'm going to be in trouble now because I actually love Chrono Cross more, but I love Chrono Trigger. The only thing is, I've already finished Chrono Trigger. I own it on the Final Fantasy Chronicles collection, so I didn't think there was a massive need for me to go out and pick this up, especially to pay full market value for it, because I couldn't find it anywhere else. I actually saw it in a couple of retail stores, and they were like $100 loose cart, and I was, pshaw, I'm not paying that. But then, of course, the good man at the flea market I just mentioned who sold me Ogre Battle also told me he had a complete in-box copy of Chrono Trigger. And he offered me a price, and I said, no, I'm not willing to pay that. Well, he was going to a convention called Sci-Fi in the Rock here in Newfoundland. He was going to try to sell it there. Didn't work out. He couldn't sell it, so I wrote him back a couple weeks later and said, do you still have Chrono Trigger? He said, absolutely. We hooked up, and I got it for the price I wanted. So I'm very excited. I finally have Chrono Trigger in my collection, and I'm not a huge box collector, but this is a really cool box to have, and it's complete, so very happy with it. Anyways, outside of, I believe, Evo is the only SNES RPG I don't have, but actually, even though it's a 16-bit gem, I don't really love Evo, and I'm not really excited to play it. So, technically, I have all my SNES RPGs I want now. So that's everything, guys. I have enough for right now, and as I mentioned earlier, that means I won't be picking anything up outside of my NES collection for quite a bit of time. Of course, that could always change, depending on what comes up, but I think I really do need this break. I need this break to actually sit back and play some of the games I've been collecting for a while. Guys, I hope you understand. Anyways, I hope you like what I picked up this time around. I think that it's actually a really cool haul. Anyways, I'll end it there. This is MichaelBtheGameGenie, and I'll talk to you next time. And see, this is why I actually do need to stop and take a break for a while, because I pick up so much stuff that I actually forget some stuff I pick up. I also got a Turbo Tap, complete in box, instructions and everything, for $10 from a Microplay when I was in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago for work. So, I mean, jeez. Yeah, I need to play some of these games. Hope you guys understand.